shunga chuji anji podana tuksen sanji kanji konyet rasme shurga musme stunza bar sawe lama namla sorwade kirba sanji chua shigdanye nyamba druba shumla tanda sanjine manere dambe janzo zin lodo jamzo shabla sorwade lame josme janzo doje dang shirke kuru pama shumla ji shenri zinga gyawe nyuku ye tanda drupa tanjine drupara ho ranjin lame drambe kajela Kosme jaro shitru lazo khar Rale jana nipur tujoni Tuyo irmi jivar shinji lo. Everybody raised bodhicitta to benefit countless suffering sentient beings. May all beings have happiness and all the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and all the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the great happiness, devoid of suffering. May they forever dwell in the great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. To sacred Bodhisattva, the precious and excellent mind, where it is not, may it arise. Where it is, may it never decline, consistently growing, rising higher and higher. And we continue these most incredible verses, these teachings of Togme Zangpo, the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. And we've come to the end, the last few verses. So wherever you are, whenever you can, make aspirations towards bodhicitta. To aspire to bodhicitta and practice bodhicitta. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do, instead of looking at your telephone, make the wish, whatever I do today, as best as possible, may I benefit sentient beings. May I transform my mind stream. That no matter which lifetime I have, any lifetime, as long as I have lifetimes, may, however I manifest, in whichever realm, may I benefit sentient beings. May my body, speech and mind, may my appearance always be that pleases others, that brings benefit to others and helps them attain enlightenment and liberation. So these last few verses, we're going to do verse 31 and verse 35 and 36. And these three verses are predominantly dealing with awareness and mindfulness, having the correct mindfulness and the correct awareness, maintaining our vigilance of watching our mind, and then finally verse 37, the dedication. We've realized, or we've learnt these teachings, we've heard about these teachings of Buddha, just those 4 lines. Abandon negativity, practice positivity, transform your own mind. These are the teachings of Buddha. And within these, there's so much is incorporated in these. We've learned the reality of cause and effect. Cause and effect, karma. Because of karma, we experience negative karma or positive karma. So whatever seeds we plant, we're going to bear the fruit of. So we're the director, we're also the actor. How we're the director? Because of all the seeds that we've planted, depending on our intention. Is it a positive intention, a positive motivation, or a negative intention or negative motivation? And from that, then what is going to happen is those seeds are going to become fruit, and we're going to enjoy the fruit, whether it's tasty or it's not tasty. Depends on what we've directed. Then we become the actor. We live out the result of our actions. In the future, because of those intentions, those seeds that we planted, then they ripen in the future. And where does this all happen? Where does this all start? It all starts from every one of our arising thoughts. So it's very important that we have a lot of vigilance, that we have the right mindfulness and the right awareness to watch, to observe, to have that awareness. What thought is arising? Is it a positive thought or is it a negative thought? Once we recognize this, if it's a negative thought, then transform it, let it go immediately, as soon as possible. And if it's a positive thought, then we can develop it, we can grow it, we can maintain it. Then best transform our mind, abide in Rigpa, abide in our true nature of mind, abide in this Buddha nature, this nature that every single one of us has. We all have the nature of Buddha. This nature of compassion, love and kindness and wisdom, and the inseparability of it. Before, we used to think that everything was so real, all of these thoughts were so real, all these emotions were so real. And we used to chase after them. If our monkey mind said do this, we would do this. If monkey mind said do that, we would do that. And then slowly, through the practices, through the great teachings of our teacher, through practices, teachings like the 37 practices of the Bodhisattva, we realized we don't have to think like this. We don't always have to abide or listen to what monkey mind is saying. We can let these thoughts go. We start to see that it's no longer, it has to be monkey says, monkey do. Monkey mind says, monkey mind, we do. Okay. We realize, we start to see, we don't have to think negatively. We can think positively. We can plant positive seeds of karma. Just by doing what? Abiding in the true nature of mind, we can let go of these thoughts. Or we just observe these thoughts. Through awareness, we can transform them. We can change our habitual ways of thinking to positive ways. Realize what brings happiness, what doesn't bring happiness. And then start changing our habits to adopt those things, those thoughts that bring happiness, benefiting others. The greatest happiness comes from benefiting others. The suffering comes from wishing for the happiness of ourselves. Shanti. So we look, we watch, we observe these thoughts. We start to realize, these thoughts are illusory. They're not as real and solid as we thought they were. We observe, we practice. What color are these thoughts? What shape are they? Where did they come from? Where do they abide? Where do they disappear to? Like bamboo sticks. The first time you see bamboo sticks, you think, wow, look how big those sticks are. They must be really heavy. But then we open those bamboo sticks. And we see, the bamboo stick is empty. It's actually quite light. So we open another bamboo stick. We see, this one is also empty. We open maybe 20, cut open 20 bamboo sticks. We see, actually in all of these bamboo sticks, they're empty in the middle. They appear to be so solid, but actually they're empty inside. And then after that, we don't doubt again that the bamboo sticks are empty inside. This is the same with these thoughts. We observe them. We practice these practices, and more, we look at one thought, we look at 20 thoughts, we look at 100 thoughts. We start, these thoughts look so real, they appear to us to be so real, but when we really observe their essence, we see that the essence is empty. And so they have less and less influence over us, less and less sway. We give them less energy, and we become more and more free, more and more open. Our mind becomes more and more vast. We think that these waves, sometimes we think the waves are separate from the ocean. They arise and they fall back. And we realize the waves are arising from the ocean, they fall back into the ocean. We start to realize that these thoughts are arising from our true nature of mind and falling back into the true nature of mind. We start to realize the essence of them, which is emptiness. They appear but empty. And also another way what we can do is, as Shantideva said, when these strong thoughts arise, then still like a log remain. So when you're sitting there, still like a log remain. I really feel like a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or some fruit juice or a glass of water. If you stay there for a while, that thought subsides. Then we forget about that thought and we carry on meditating. Similarly as well, when emotion arises, if we abide for a while, that emotion will eventually subside. So it's also very good practice, still like a log remain. Don't follow that thought, don't follow that emotion. Don't let it become action, something we say or something that we do. Just rather still like a log remain. You see, Rinpoche, these great teachers, they give us these incredible teachings, like the 37 practices of Bodhisattva. These teachings of Rinpoche. They give us these pith instructions. Without these pith instructions, it would be very difficult to realize the true nature of our mind, to realize the nature and the essence of these thoughts. To transform, they help us to transform. As we practice positivity, we realize the reality of cause and effect and the reality of impermanence. So we transform our own mind. So what are the most important things? Transform our own mind and benefit others. So how do we do that? First, we transform our own mind. Once we've transformed our own mind, then we have much more ability to benefit others. If we don't transform our mind, it's very difficult for us to benefit others. How do we start doing this? First we understand. Once we understand, then we contemplate, and then we practice. Very important is the practice. First we have to understand. If we don't understand, then how do we practice? But it's important that it doesn't just stop at understanding. If it just stops at understanding, then when problems arise, emotions arise, then we're not able to resolve the emotion. We're not able to change it, to transform it. Understanding is not our realization. Then what we have is these are the teachings and the realization of these great teachers. It's their realization. It's not ours. It's only when we realize it ourselves that it becomes ours. And then it's incredibly valuable. Because not only does it stay with us in this lifetime, it also benefits us in future lifetimes. All this wealth that we have, it's not going to go with us. But what is going to go with us is these characters, these qualities that we have in our nature of mind. And you see, you speak to people. I've spent some time with some people. Actually, they're very, very wealthy. Incredibly wealthy. But they don't feel happy. So what they've got is they've got this incredible material wealth, but in reality, they're poor inside. It's like that story with Buddha, where he said he was going to give the jewel to the poorest person, and he didn't give it to the beggars. He gave it to the king, and his student said, "Why did you give it to the king?" And he said, "The king is the poorest of them all," because he had the poorest mindset. In his mind, he was still pure, never satisfied, always unhappy, always something to be dissatisfied about. So we have this incredible wealth within ourselves. And this wealth can go with us wherever we go. The material wealth isn't necessarily going to go with us wherever we go. And often, so it's remember that the body, speech and mind, the mind is the captain, the mind is the boss. What the mind says, the body will do, the speech will do. It's very important to start where? To start at the source. To start by mastering our mind. When we master our mind, we master our speech, we master our actions. So we have this precious human life, and it's so important to realize, to use this precious human life. Use it as best as possible. Make it meaningful. Wake up in the morning. I'm so fortunate. I have precious human life. How can I make today meaningful? Every day we wake up, we have a new life. Don't carry the burdens of yesterday and the day before with you. Let them go. Start the new day with enthusiasm. Transform your mind. Benefit others. If we transform, we transform. It'll benefit us in the future this life and in future lives. As Buddha taught, he taught us the 3 Dharma wheels. The 4 noble truths, that there is suffering, the cause of suffering, that there's a path to be free from suffering, and that we can be free of suffering, then bodhicitta and sunyata, emptiness, which we're talking about, the 37 practices of a bodhisattva, and then about Buddha nature. We can free ourselves from the circle of samsara. We start to learn that there really is so much suffering in samsara. We search for happiness, but it's short-lived. Everything is temporary. Everything is impermanent. So what we think is happiness, we think if we have this relationship, I'm going to be happy. If we have this job, I'm going to be happy. If I have that house or this car, I'm going to be happy. Maybe for a while, you are happy. But after a while, the mind becomes bored. We're looking for something else to satisfy us. The relationship is not so satisfying anymore. It's bringing us unhappiness. We're getting hurt. There's things that we're disgruntled about. The work, we're not happy. We feel overworked, unappreciated. So in all of these we see samsara. There's a cycle of happiness and unhappiness, happiness and unhappiness. Once we've got food, clothing, shelter, we're warm. Unless we're really sick, unless we really have a terrible headache, we don't think about this body. It's all happening in our mind. This is the difference. Most people have got their food. For those that have their food, their shelter, they have their clothing. What is the difference between those that are happy and that are unhappy? It's the way they're thinking. It's due to their different arising thoughts, their different emotions, their different habits. Some people are happier, some people are unhappier. Why? Because of the difference of the way they speak. They're all full, they're all warm. Just they have different ideas of what happiness is. Some of them have got a lot of attachment, a lot of greed, a lot of pride, a lot of jealousy, a lot of anger. And so they're unhappy, dissatisfied. Others are full of love and kindness and compassion. Their minds are calm, at peace, tranquil. They're happy. So the food they've got, the shelter they've got, but their state of mind is different. Everybody has emotions. Everybody has arising thoughts. The difference is the great masters, they take those thoughts as they arise, they liberate them. As negative thoughts arise, they let them go. As positive thoughts arise, they embark on those positive thoughts. They benefit others. And so they experience great happiness. They live in a state where they've realized wisdom emptiness. They live beyond these conceptual thoughts, these judgments, these discriminations. So we have these opportunities, this opportunity to practice, this precious human life. Practice as much as you can. Use every opportunity you can to transform your mind stream, to embrace these teachings, these 37 practices of a bodhisattva. It's very important, again, now you've received the teaching, but to apply the teaching, to make it a realization in your own mind stream that these are your practices. These have brought great happiness, great joy, great benefit to these past masters. This is their realization. This is why they share it with us. Now it's important for us to transform that, to make these great teachings part of our mind stream as well, that we may also receive the benefit thereof, that others may also benefit from these teachings, from our realization of loving kindness and compassion. Realize this Buddha nature, this true nature of mind that every one of us really has. The moment we have these thoughts, they arise. As the first one arises, it subsides, the second one arises, it gets stronger. Then a third one arises, it becomes even stronger. And then we act on it. We say things. But after practice, realizing the more we have mindfulness, the more vigilance we have, the correct awareness. As those thoughts arise, the second thought arises, it's weaker. The third of thought arises, even weaker. And as these thoughts, these emotions, have less and less power, less and less strength, energy over us. And then we become the master. We're no longer the servant of all of these arising thoughts, of this monkey mind. So we start now. I'm going to read all of the verses together. Verse 31. verse 34 and verse 35 and verse 36. So verse 31. The practice of all bodhisattvas is to scrutinize oneself continually and to rid oneself of all faults whenever they appear. For unless one checks carefully to find one's own confusion, one might appear to be practicing Dharma but act against it. And then verse 35. The practice of all bodhisattvas is to slay attachment and the rest, mind's afflictions, at once, the very moment they arise, taking as weapons the remedies held with mindfulness and vigilance. For once the kleshas have become familiar, they will be hard to avert. And 36. In short, no matter what one might be doing, by examining always the status of one's mind, with continuous mindfulness and alertness, to bring about the good of others. This is the practice of all bodhisattvas. So you see here, these verses are all stressing the right mindfulness, the right awareness, vigilance. Watch your mind. Every moment, watch your mind. So there's no difference between meditation and non-meditation. What do we mean? We use meditation as a tool. So we develop our awareness, our mindfulness, our ability to transform, to let go of these afflictive emotions, these negative thoughts. And then we apply it in daily life. So as our practice improves, it's not that we always sit in meditation. It's important that we always maintain mindfulness and awareness. So we apply it always in daily life. So that's the difference between meditation and non-meditation. So irrespective of where we are, we're maintaining the right mindfulness and awareness. Observe yourself for any faults, as it says, and any of these emotions arise. He says over here, attachment and the rest includes the 5 poisons: attachment, pride, jealousy, anger, and ignorance. Transform them immediately. If we don't, we develop these habits. These thoughts become emotions. These emotions then become actions. The actions then become karma. And then they become habits. And once they become habits, they're very, very difficult to change. I always use the example of smokers, because I was a smoker myself. I never needed to have a cigarette. Until I was 18, I was very happy never having a cigarette. But then one day I thought, well, let me have a cigarette. And I developed the habit. 1 a week, 1 a day, however many every day. Eventually reaching out without even thinking for a cigarette. Go buy a cigarette, have a cigarette. Happy, sad, after food, bored, entertained. And I really thought, what can I do? Really tried to get rid of this habit. It really took a lot of effort, a lot of time. And then eventually one day, gave up those cigarettes. And after a while, really didn't need those cigarettes. Why did I smoke them in the first place? But you see, when we developed that habit of cigarettes, it was very difficult at that time to let go of this attachment to cigarettes. Very difficult. So any attachment, it's not only the material things, it's these emotions of ours, our attachment to having to have a tantrum, to getting jealous about things, wishing, desiring for this, desiring for that, desiring for all sorts of things to make us unhappy. What should I say? To make us happy, but we think it's going to make us happy, but it makes us unhappy, actually. So be careful of developing these habits. How do we do that? Mindfulness and awareness. Every thought as it arises, if it's not positive, let it go. And then we can abide in the true nature of mind. Everything we can do in the true nature of mind. If we can meditate in the true nature of mind, we can eat in the true nature of mind, We can benefit others in the true nature of mind. We can sing in the true nature of mind. It's of incredible, incredible benefit. And then thoughts, random thoughts, deluded thoughts, they can come like a thief into an empty house. Those thoughts, deluded thoughts arise, but there's nothing. They don't leave any karmic seeds. Just like a thief comes into an empty house. They come, there's nothing to take. They come empty-handed, they leave empty-handed. Like writing on water, it leaves no trace. With the example of a bird flying in the sky, it leaves no trace. These thoughts, these deluded thoughts arise, these negative emotions arise, they rise and they subside, leaving no trace, leaving no karmic seeds. And we abide in awareness, true nature of mind. Always in stillness and awareness, we realize the empty nature of everything. What do we use to do this? The weapons. What? Buddhists have weapons. Sometimes people think because you're a Buddhist, you won't get angry, you won't get jealous, you won't do something wrong. It's a matter of practice. What we're saying is we invest in these teachings. We think this is the right medicine that can transform us, can free us of these afflictive emotions. But just because you become a Buddhist doesn't mean that suddenly all of these negative habits, all of these emotions disappear. They only disappear through practice. So these are the weapons that we use to diminish these emotions, these afflictive emotions and their effect. Awareness, vigilance, realizing the true nature of things. And then we can do everything in the true nature of mind. You look at these branch offerings, I thought I would just share them as taught in the Guru Yoga of Lama Achuk Rinpoche. His teachings are so incredible. Everything he says pointing to our true nature of mind. Always starting with ah. What is ah? Reminding us of our true nature of mind. Abide in the true nature of mind. He says, homage to the self-liberation of the skandha of consciousness. So you pay homage in the true nature of mind, beyond all of this conceptuality and discrimination. Offering the purity and equality of all phenomena. The greatest offering is seeing the purity of all phenomena, abiding in the true nature of mind. Confessing misdeeds and downfalls in the unconditioned state, abiding in the true nature of mind is the greatest confession, the greatest repentance. And rejoicing at the self-liberation of whatever arises. In the true nature of mind, whatever arises, liberated, it's great rejoicing. Everything he teaches from the true nature of mind. Requesting the turning of the inexpressible Dharma wheel. Teaching from the true nature of mind. These great teachers, they're teaching from their realization, from the true nature of mind. This would be the greatest Dharma to receive. Often for us in the beginning it's difficult to receive the Dharma because we say our mind is full of distractions. If we can abide with awareness and mindfulness and really absorb the teachings. And then he goes on to say, whatever virtuous roots have been done beyond the conceptual mind is dedicated to the complete liberation of the three realms. May all reach the grounds of great bliss. So whatever we're doing, bodhicitta, for the benefit of all sentient beings. Even his dedication is from the true nature of mind. So that is the last verse. The dedication. So read verse 37. The practice of all bodhisattvas is to dedicate towards enlightenment. All the virtues to be gained through making effort in these ways, with the wisdom that is purified entirely of the three conceptual spheres, so as to dispel the suffering of the infinity of beings. The purpose of these 37 practices, transform our mind to benefit suffering sentient beings, to wish for every single sentient being to be free from the suffering of samsara. This is the final dedication. You look at these aspirations, look at the King of Aspiration prayers of Samantabhadra. It's so vast. We can expand our minds like this, make our minds so vast. Whatever they do that they wish that every being can understand in every language, that every atom has the opportunity to attain enlightenment, that they may receive the teachings, that they may teach in a state that every atom receives these teachings. Really, their minds are so vast. And this is an offering. So this is dedication. Actually, at the end of the day, is also an offering. We dedicate, we seal our practice so that this dedication, the benefit of it stays until all beings have attained enlightenment. So we can practice the Dharma. Our reason for practicing the Dharma can be so that we have a better life later, that we have better future lives, that we attain enlightenment. But the greatest, the vastest, is that for all sentient beings to attain enlightenment. Why not? Not much greater effort to change our aspiration, make it as vast as possible, as much benefit as possible. Really do everything for the benefit of others, for all sentient beings. And also, sometimes we have attachment to material things, sometimes we have attachment to concepts, to ideas, to immaterial things. If we don't dedicate, what happens is some people treat their merit like a bank account, and they're very attached to it, and it causes them suffering. Attachment causes suffering, whether it's material or immaterial. Even if it's spiritual, if you have attachment spiritually, it causes suffering. So the final is a dedication. Whatever benefit we have received, whatever benefit any teacher, any being from beginningless time to endless time has received, we give up, we let it go. We give it to the benefit of all sentient beings. So on that note, thank you very much for listening to these teachings. It's really hope that these teachings really become your realization and really benefit all suffering sentient beings. Let's dedicate these merits. Sonam daye tamcha zipanye tudnye nyepe tranang kajeja geka nachir balang trupai zipi tsoli droa sho. May all beings obtain omniscience, having defeated the enemies of wrongdoings, in the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness and death. May all beings be free from the ocean of the suffering of samsara. And in the greatest of gratitude to our perfect teachers, to Gyalwe Nyugu Rinpoche, Achuk Lama, Trulga Arik Rinpoche. Due to all of our perfect teachers, we learn about the importance of doing positive deeds, abandoning negative deeds, and transforming our minds. And with the wind blowing over everything, I assume that is a perfect time to end these teachings, but not end the practice.